Do something that I since prompted to do a year ago after the whole COVID crisis hit, and I was a pastor in interim, you might say. I since prompted to continue on the study that we were doing on Wednesday nights called Pilgrim Psalms. And I'm going to try to put out a few of these over the next few weeks and see what the interest is in them. As I've said before, I hope you feel I always have something to say. And what I'd like to do is getting into the Pilgrim Psalms tonight to give you a verse that's in the prophets, but it sounds like it should be a proverb. It's Jeremiah says it in chapter 12, verse 5. He says, "If you've raced with a man on foot and they have wearied you, how will you compete with horses? And if in a safe land you are so trusting, what will you do in the thicket of Jordan?" Now, maybe heading into the crisis that started a year ago, we didn't think as much about that, but we certainly think that we're in the midst of a thicket right now. There's a lot of things that feel really thick and thorny in our days today. And just to say, start off here and introduce the whole topic, the world is no friend of grace. The text that I'm introducing this with, I know, is rather obscure to many. But frankly, doesn't it speak to the condition of our hearts? If we've raced with men on foot and can't keep up, how can we keep up with horses? Things in this world, things just seem to change so fast. Nothing is more certain than change, somebody has said. And as we approach things that maybe are trying to get back to normal, the thing that was still for sure is that things will continue to change in our world. If we have difficulty keeping up with men alone, which we all do, how can we ever keep up with horses who run with great swiftness? Our average fast walking speed, I did my Sunday afternoon walk here, about 4 miles an hour is what I can attain, and I guess that's pretty fast. A runner might be able to do about double that. The standard of a 4-minute mile would put you at about maybe 15 miles an hour. And if you could keep pace with that for an hour is the thing. The horse might run at, say, 55 miles an hour at the very fastest. It's just to say you might get overwhelmed at the pace that you're keeping now. But it could definitely get worse, as it has. The old phrase, the hurrier I go, the behinder I get, is very poor English. Doesn't it sure express our sentiments in these days? The book I've used as I was putting that study together is a book by Eugene Peterson called Long Obedience in the Same Direction. Maybe it's something that you'd like to pick up these days. Just to say, it's hard to keep a constant focus. Resolutions abound, intentions to do better, guidelines to help. Self-help areas of bookstores are crowded, and areas and ways we can improve ourselves are always very popular in whatever form of media that you're on. There are more self-help regimens, though, out there than people there are to practice them. But if I can brush away everything for a moment here, what everyone is looking for is shortcuts. They want a way to get at it quick. And what I'm here to be painfully honest with you about is this: there are no shortcuts. In the heart of mercy that I have, I wish there were, but there are no shortcuts. Years ago, with the music ministry we had, Heart Song, we sang a song that actually originally came from Dallas Home called Front Seat, Back Seat. Said I was running out, barreling out full speed ahead, running out every stop sign that I'd say, thinking I'd give the Lord a shortcut, but I found out he don't need no help from me. I was running from my master, and I tried out every new thing I could find, but my life turned into one disaster. Without the Lord, I almost blew my mind. The greatest question that is to be asked as a new direction is sought in our lives is, how willing are we to make a change? It's a great question, isn't it? Maybe if we understand the place we are in, we would realize how imperative it is to change. If we focus on what is above than what is below, might not seem so difficult to change. Colossians chapter 3 mentions that about if we've been raised with Christ, we seek the things that are above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. And we set our mind to things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. For we died, and our life is now hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is our life, appears, then you will also appear with him in glory. We're pilgrims. We're headed someplace. As believers, we are. They're people who spend our lives going someplace. The world is not our home. In these Psalms, from Psalm 120 into the 130s, these Psalms are meant to encourage the pilgrim on the pathway so that we might go on in the way with strength. Psalm 84 says they go on from strength to strength until they appear before God in Zion. And that was the path that the Hebrews took. And these Psalms that are actually called the Psalms of Assent, because of all of the times within the year that they were to make their way to Jerusalem. There were 3 times in particular, the 3 feasts that they would go, the Passover, Pentecost, and Feast of Tabernacles. And because of the geography of the land of Israel, just about everyone in the land had to go from the lower place to mount up to Jerusalem, to the place that Jerusalem stood on. You had to ascend, and henceforth these are called the Psalms of Ascent. They're psalms, you might say, to sing on the road. They're psalms of transition. They're psalms that call us to the mountain of the Lord. As Isaiah said, come, let us go to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, that he may teach us his ways, that we may walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And another verse from Isaiah said, you shall have a song, that there be a song that we would sing as we go along. Even there's songs in the night that go on with gladness of heart as one sets out to the mountain of the Lord. Oh, that we would have a song. Any joyous song will do. The old song, we're marching to Zion, or many other songs, singing as we go, music that conveys us. Far more than whistling in the dark, this is encouragement to each other as we go along. And they're meant to reinforce the message of grace and to restrict harmful fears along the road, that we know that we're headed someplace. Hebrews 12 says, since we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, hold fast our confession. For we do not have a high priest who is unable, Hebrews 4 actually it is, who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who in every respect has been tempted as we are. Let us with confidence draw near to the throne of grace, that we might receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. The Psalms are not monuments. These Psalms are footprints, places that to put our feet along the way, and just to say, well, at least I got this far. While a footprint says, that's what a monument says, while a footprint says, this is where I was until I moved again. So the chorus of front seat, back seat says, I was sitting in the front seat trying hard to be the driver, thinking I was making real good time, but always winding up the late arriver. But now I'm trying out the back seat, and I'm finding it a very great relief. Now I'm in the back seat, and I'm leaving all the driving to the chief. The Psalms of Ascent, Psalms 120 and on, I think are great songs to carry us through these difficult days. I hope you'll find the same, and I hope you find that had something good to say to you, encouraging to say to you today. Randy Mantic here. Should be back with another one of these next week.